talking about COVID? Fuck.
Right.
I'm not prepared for this.
Exactly. No, I'm just sick as shit. I think it's allergies. But I'm Glick,
Well,
the other
you,
voice you hear, hanging out with Jeff as always.
as always, I'm here, and I actually flipped my camera around. I got flack for it the other day. Somebody gave me
Thank
shit
you.
about it. They're like, "You can't see you." I'm like,
Yeah.
"So you can hear me, right?
I
It's a
was I,
podcast."
I was a little worried about you there for a second because you started making all kinds of weird noises. I thought you were having a stroke. I'm like, man, the COVID/stroke episode.
I
I'm
was
dying
like,
of
"What?"
COVID.
I was like,
Jeff's got
"The only thing I have to
had a
say about
stroke.
COVID is I won't get a vaccine because fuck them. I'm not a sheep."
Yeah, right.
But
Fuck your vaccine. Hey, Uncle Joe said vaccine or else. So
how funny was that video I sent you?
the man's a mess.
There's a trend on TikTok where it shows that clip of Biden sitting in the Oval saying the rule is you get the vaccine or pay the price, and it's just clip after clip of people saying fuck you, go fuck yourself. And I'm like, hell yes, I'm with every one of them motherfuckers. I am standing right next to you.
Well, after a year and a half of this shit, and
I'm so over it.
not having any issues or anything like that, I am tomorrow going to get my first COVID test out of all this stuff. So just to be safe, just to double check it. And I know this is not
Jim Brewer, the guy, you know, the
yeah, no, the comedian,
the goofy guy from what was that fucking movie with Dave Chappelle? Half Baked. Yeah, he was talking about when I don't want any. Go away.
Check it.
He's trying to feed me baked lasagna.
Fucking apps, operating girl.
But I'm getting a buzzing in my ear. But he was talking about he got COVID. He got COVID, and he said it was like a sinus thing. It was like a real sinus chest thing. And then you were talking about you were getting sinus pain. I was like, fuck.
Well, and Chris has COVID. Summer says I have COVID.
Well, but
she's on that.
You know, the thing is, hey, Summer. The thing is like you're in yesterday when you started your job. You're in a fucking giant chicken coop, I'm assuming.
Well, I started Tuesday, and
okay.
She said, "Hey, Freddie," and yeah, I'm essentially in a giant chicken barn, and it wasn't at all what I expected or what it.
Oh, the smell is great, isn't it?
Well, the smell doesn't bother me. It wasn't what I expected. To explain it, so to say. So, you know, they said that they I can't really talk much about it, to be honest with you.
Right.
But we'll just go with that. It wasn't what I expected it was going to be. So between the feathers and the dust and the manure and the feed, it is just 100% fucking wrecking me.
Right.
And it literally took everything I had yesterday to get through the day because my chest was pounding. I could barely breathe. So I reached out to him this morning and asked if there was another position there that I could take. I know that doesn't involve me working in the barns all day.
Yeah, because
but she said that they would look and see what she could find. I know they're hiring maintenance there, which I could.
Yeah, maintenance is easy.
But I do have job interviews lined up in. So
yeah, you were saying you were looking at a couple other places.
Yeah.
Are we on a delay?
So I got another one. No. I'm on a delay.
Oh, okay. Whoa.
Physically, I'm on a delay.
I'm trying to get my face centered on my thing.
Yeah, like I told you, this will be a fun episode to try to record because
this is the first time I'm. Yeah, you're sniffling, and I'm fucking with my phone the whole time.
Yeah. No, I have medicine head. Yesterday, I came home from work. I ate and fell asleep, and then
I was sending you messages, and I was like,
everybody was.
Was he pissed off at me or something? What the fuck?
Everybody was. Mark messaged me and he was like, "No podcast tonight." And I didn't even get it till this morning. So I messaged him this morning. I was like, "Dude, my bad, I'm sick. Hopefully
You
we're
know,
gonna record today." And he was like, "Oh, don't worry about your podcast, man. Get feeling better." I'm
yeah.
like,
Well,
yeah.
it all came down to my wife had, she started her new job today, and fucking yesterday she had to go turn in all her stuff at the old company. So she's like, "Will you go with me?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. I got nothing to do
Do you
today."
want to invite?
And on the way back, we're talking with a buddy who's giving us a ride, and he's like, "Yeah, we were talking about how the new place she's going is going to be so much better for her and life for us in general." And he's like, "So Jeff, what do you got going?" And I was like, "Oh, I do a podcast on Wednesdays." He's like, "It's Wednesday today," and I was like, "Fuck, it is." Shit, what time is it? Hurry up, drive faster.
You do a little podcast, huh? You and your dumb little friend. You think you're radio host? That's cute.
we're like young Howard Stern, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, buddy.
It was one of those things like being a stay-at-home dad has this weird effect where you don't realize what day of the week it is, especially during this time. Like the kids aren't going to school because, well, school's almost over anyways, but like Mexico closed their schools the entire year. Nobody's been in
Were they
school
doing
here.
like?
It's all
What are they
remote.
Gotcha.
And
Summer,
which means there's going to be a whole lot of dumb kids next year. Oh yes, invite her. That'll be hilarious.
I mean, just depending upon how well they did with the online learning. I mean, up here, when the COVID first hit, they canned school, so to say. The
Right.
teachers made it very hard for online learning. Now this year, it
Well,
seems like they were doing the Zoom and everything else, so it was a little bit easier.
Blew my mind is like they didn't know how, and I was like, "What's to know? How? It's not a difficult concept."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. It's the same thing as a classroom. The difference is you have a phone in front of you or a computer. My shit wants to turn, and it's driving me nuts.
Yeah, computer or whatever.
And but the problem is now the teachers have gotten used to it, and they're like, "Go back to school. What are you, crazy?"
Yeah, right. Go back to fucking school. Yeah, like what?
Go back to actually going to a building.
Teach these little bastards in class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do I have to go to my actual job? Well, a lot of people are like that. That a lot of people that have been working remotely, they're like, "Why do I have to go back to work?" Like my stepmom, she, ever since this started, she's been working from home, and now they're talking about, potentially going back, and she's like, "Well, they want to go down to Florida for the winter and stuff like that," and it's like, well, I can still do my job and be in Florida. And they're like, yeah, you can.
Well, like Microsoft and places like that, with tech jobs, they're like, why do we need a building again? They're realizing they're like, fuck, we can do this all the time, which is kind of cool, but I see potential problems with it eventually. My phone just does not want to stay.
Well, I figure as long as people are doing their jobs.
Yeah, that was my thought. I mean, if I owned a business, I was like, look, as long as you guys do your job, if you come in, great. If you don't come in, as long as you're doing your job, I don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Because I won't be there.
Yeah.
I'll do that shit remotely too.
Yeah, I mean, if you can do
as a business owner, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a guy, I think on TikTok or something like that, that got popped for whatever company he worked for. They worked remotely. Well, he was doing so. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I don't know if he was doing like Uber Eats or what he was doing. But he
on the side.
Yeah, but he had he had a green screen up across the back of his seats, so he could do like a green screen, and it looked like he was
in his house.
In his house, and he was really out driving around and got in trouble for it. Well, we're trying to get Summer in here. She's trying to come in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my phone in to stop moving.
There she is. Hi, pretty girl.
I know.
There you are. I don't see you, but I hear you.
She's in the pool.
Well, I hear the pool. That's what that. Well, I was hearing splashing. I'm like, what is she doing?
Yeah, she got her pool all cleaned and filled up yesterday, and Parker wanted to go swimming today.
I don't blame him.
So
With it being so warm lately.
I'm sure it's fucking freezing down there. But yeah, so I don't know if
There
this
she
dude
is.
like wound up losing her job or losing his job or what happened, but people were freaking out because he was like in Zoom meetings and he was just driving along, you know.
Which is kind of smart on his point. I mean, but my question is this: was he getting his work done?
Morning. Okay.
Well, I think the biggest problem with it was that he was driving and making TikToks and doing Zoom meetings while he was driving.
Yeah. So he wasn't actually doing his job. He's just like, you're going to pay me. I'll show up to the meetings.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it underwater. That is not true. I'm trying.
But yeah,
my cousin said he has to go back to work every other week in July. He's watching
every other week. That's kind of weird.
He's been working from home since March of last year.
What words are hard. What job does he do?
I don't know. He's a lot smarter than I am, so he probably does something with computers.
Oh yeah, it was like my wife when
he got the brains in the family, and I got the good looks. So
my wife, they did a full shutdown here, and as a seller of tours, you know, for like 4 or 5 months, we just basically did nothing. She wasn't getting paid, nothing. So we were struggling, dipped into savings and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
But then when they first started back to work, they weren't allowed in the hotel, so they were doing kind of a remote, and it was all through text messages, which I thought was hilarious.
So they were like texting their clients and shit like that.
Well, they actually developed an app so their clients would get off the plane and they'd get a, was the CR code, and they'd scan it and download the app, and they'd be connected to one of like 25, 30 different reps, and the rep would send a message, hey, welcome to Cancun, blah, 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 blah. If you need anything, let me know. And my wife was killing it.
We realized you just got off the plane and you haven't had time to relax yet, but why don't you buy this, and this?
Well, what was weird is, but the initial part of the job, when you first meet the client, you don't mention that you're selling stuff. You're there to facilitate their transportation and make sure everything's good in the hotel. And then, oh God, these kids. And then I lost my train of thought because of that. Thank you.
Shut up, you little sons of bitches. It's not like we're trying to record a podcast or anything.
Yeah, God forbid. But it's gotten to the point where before my wife left, she wasn't feeling good one day, so she called the boss. She's like, yeah, I'm not going in. I don't feel well. You know, she just had a headache or something like that, or she just didn't feel like going in. And she ended up selling 4 times as much as she would have if she would have actually gone in over the app. You know, and it all comes down. People are like, hey, I heard about this place, Ishkaret or Chichen Itza or blah, blah, blah. Can you tell me more about it? Sure. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And my wife's yelling at the kids now.
It sounds like World War III there. My cousin said he works at J.P. Morgan. Chase,
okay.
Like Chase Bank. So, yeah, he's a whole hell of a lot smarter than I am. So
yeah, I wouldn't even know. Well, I looked into the whole remote job thing because I was like, look, I'm home. I can work from home. But every job is like, you have to have a serious knowledge of computers. I'm like, I can turn it on.
Yeah, right. No, I would get way too bored, way too easy sitting at home. I would love to have a job where. Yeah, I mean, if I could sit at home and do a job, I would love it. But the problem is I would get way too bored. And I'd be like, hey, Jeff, I know we just recorded a podcast yesterday. You want to record another one today?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like the funny thing is like if I that's some serious loudness. Yeah, if I even sitting here at home, my wife would be like, hey, can you do this laundry? And it's like 20 minutes before she walks back in the door. I'm like, oh, shit. Because the TV's on or something. I'm like, so it's like, I know if I was actually getting paid for something, I would probably figure out a way to be like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it. it's a dangerous concept for me. I'm just not. I don't have the focus because squirrel,
Yeah, squirrel.
But
No, I don't. Yeah, I would just honestly get bored way too easily sitting at the house, and I would be like that guy setting up a green screen in my car.
Exactly.
Like I'm gonna go buy a green screen and go and like go over to my buddy Kevin's house and drink beer all day.
I wonder how long he got away with it. Like,
I don't
did he
know.
get away with it for like a couple of months? Did he get away with it a couple of days?
Yeah.
That would be interesting to find out. Like, how good did it actually work?
Yeah, I just seen a real quick video of it. I don't know. I don't remember where I seen it, and I think it was like on Facebook or something. It was like one of those pop-up news stories. It was like, man, blah blah blah, while makes TikTok videos, and
that's hilarious.
Whatever, fucking psychopath. Yeah,
but yeah, you remember a couple? I guess it was almost over. It was right before we started doing the podcast. My brother was in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, we were kind of half-assed talking about that a while back.
Well, the other day I contacted him. He and I were talking on the phone, and he gave me his point of view of what happened.
my cousin, we're talking about him working from home. He's like, it does suck, but I don't like people though, so it works.
That would be the one best part about it. It was like, I always say, if I have to leave my house, that's a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be the one good thing about working at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't like people at all. I tolerate most people. I mean, somebody like you and I could hang out, sit around, drink beer, shoot the shit. I have no problem with. But most of the people that you see in a job, you always get the same kind of people. You get the one guy that's just way too into his job, and he does everything fucking perfect, and he's fucking golden boy suck ass. And then you got the slacker, which is usually me.
Yeah, I do just enough to not get
fired. Yeah.
Look, I know what my job is. Don't expect any more. Don't expect any less.
Exactly.
Bare minimum, and
I'm done at 5. At 4:49, I'm ready to walk out the door.
Yeah.
So I got 10 minutes. I'm gonna stare at the clock for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah. If I get off at 4, at 3:45, I'm hanging out down in the office or at the break, the breakthrough. Or
I'm going to go outside for a cigarette with all my stuff. But so I was talking to my brother, and he gave me his point of view of what happened the night he wrecked his motorcycle. Now, there's certain, like, the time of day I don't know. I just know it was like stupid early in the morning. Like,
I was gonna say, because I remember the day it happened. You and I were talking, and it was
like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was super early in the morning. I'm like, hey, hell, were you doing out on your bike that early in the morning?
Well, I think he was coming home from something. Like, he owns a business.
Yeah.
He owns a little casino kind of thing. It's just slot machines. And he's coming home, and I think he had to go drop someone off as his ex-wife's or something. But he's coming home, and apparently what happened, he's doing about 55, 60 miles an hour, not speeding, and it's a crotch rocket. It's not like it's a Harley or anything.
Oh, I assumed he had like a big cruiser or something. I didn't know
it was like a crotch rocket, and he's had the cruisers, but he's which if you ever meet the guy, you're like, really? Crotch rocket? Really?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the pictures I've seen of him, and I know.
Yeah, I mean, he's what?
He's what, about 15 years older than you?
No, he's actually closer to 20, 25 years older than me.
Okay, so I mean,
But yeah, he totally looks like the guy that would be in a leather jacket or leather vest and riding a hog, or he's like an extra on Sons of Anarchy or something.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's driving down the road 50, 60, 55, 60, and obeying the laws, but for some reason did not have his helmet on. And he's been riding since I was like a month old or something, or more. He's been he knows what he's doing. But that's still no excuse not to wear the helmet. And I gave him shit about that. But
that's the thing with a motorcycle. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, one teeny tiny small mistake and you're eating gravel, literally.
And he's driving through the Mansfield Belleville area, and of course, what happens at that time of year? Deer.
Hello, Bambi.
Yeah, well, Bambi decided to run across the street, so my brother swerves to miss Bambi. Then on the opposite side of the street, another fucking deer decides to cross the street, so he swerves to miss the other one, ends up laying it down at 55, 60 miles an hour, and he's sliding on his side towards the guardrail. And this is a direct quote of what he told me. He said, I looked at the guardrail and I said, God, you know how I feel about losing a limb. If I lose a limb, I'm going to take myself out of the equation.
Yeah.
Because he and I have both stated, if I ever where I have to depend on somebody to function, just take me out the back, put a shotgun barrel in my mouth, take care of it. Because I'm not that guy.
Little Kurt Cobain action.
Yeah, oh yeah. I will suck on that barrel like to the last second, just boom. So, and that's what he said. He said, but he said the weirdest thing happened. The weirdest thing he said happened. He was about 3 or 4 feet from the guardrail, sliding at full speed, and something in his brain told him, gun it. So he kicks the throttle full bore and whatever gear he is in, and the rear tire caught the guardrail and shoved him across the bridge to the other side of the bridge and into the ditch with the bike on top of him.
Damn.
And he said 3 or 4 cars drove by, couldn't see him or whatever, I don't know. Then he pushes the bike off of him, shattered femur, shattered shin, eye socket busted, punctured lung, cracked multiple ribs, broken multiple ribs.
Yeah,
and he drags himself.
Oh
yeah, he got pretty fucked up. And he drags himself to the center of the road. And he said the last thing I remember before the paramedics got there was hearing tires screeching so somebody didn't run over him. So he's laying in the middle of the road, and somebody's just like, there's a body in the road. And Life Flight shows up, and before they get him on Life Flight, they literally cut him out of every piece of clothing he had on.
Did he have at least like riding gear on, like pants and jacket?
Jeans and a t-shirt, brother. Jeans and a t-shirt.
Jesus Christ.
That's my brother to a T. He's like, leather, please. It's too warm. So they got him stripped naked. The only thing he had on was his shoes.
Yeah.
And he said to the doc when he landed at the hospital, "How come you guys stripped me naked? And you're allowed to do that, but I can't do that." That's what he tells the doc in the emergency room before they put him out. And the doc was like, "That's not funny," and then gassed him so they could do surgery.
Time to go sleepy by, you fucking weirdo.
But the thing was like you and I read in the article was that he like 5 miles down the road there was another accident at the exact same time.
Yeah, that because the first
guy fell asleep and his wife ended up dying. And this couple's like 75, 80 years old.
Yeah,
they end up dying. One of them ends up dying, but due to the radio calls from the cops and everything, it was generally acknowledged that some chick was on the back of his bike and she died.
Yeah, because the initial story you sent me, it was a fatal car accident or a motorcycle accident. Yeah. I was like, "What, did your brother die?" And you're like, "No, he's not dead." I'm like, "Did you read the article?" Once again, read the article.
And then he tells me he says he's sitting there like a week after he gets out of the hospital, and he was in the hospital for a good week.
Yeah.
He's out of the hospital another week, and he gets a call from the sheriff's department. And they're like, Mr. Hawk? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, you're alive. He's like, Last time I checked. He's like, we thought you were dead. The cops even thought he was dead. And the cop asked him, he says, how fast are you going? He says, I'm doing 55, 60. And the cop's like, yeah, I don't believe you. And he says, tell me what happened. He tells him what happened. The cop says, okay, now I believe you, with the gunning it on the railing.
Yeah.
And my brother's next question is, so am I going to get a ticket? And the cop was like, no, you're good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
so he like zero trouble with the law for it, because it wasn't his fault or anything. And I mean, the bike's fucked up. But here's the even more fucked up part of the whole story. I'm talking to him yesterday or the other day, and he says, and guess what I did? I said, what's that? He's like, I went and bought me another bike. I was like, you're a fucking idiot.
Oh, yeah, he did. That's the only way to
But
do
he
it.
told me, he says, if I'd have been a new rider, like myself, if Jeff would have got on that same bike, same thing happened, Jeff would be dead. Because Jeff can barely get on a bike because they're too big for me. All bikes are too tall for me. Every bike is too tall for me, unless the only bike I can fit on is a YZF-R1. They're low enough I can ride it, but they're so fucking powerful I'd kill myself anyways.
You took away the short joke for me.
Yeah, sorry, I had to. But he says, but based on his years upon years upon years upon years of riding, is what saved his life. But he's still at home. Every time I call him, I can hear him telling his girlfriend, "Can you give me this? Can you give me that?"
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure. I mean, everything that happened, he's gonna be in recovery for a good minute.
Yeah. Well, my neighbor, he wrecked his bike and just cracked his my drunk neighbor just cracked his shin, and he was on crutches for a full year.
Jesus Christ! Wait, he like cracked it, or?
Yeah, he cracked it. Didn't break, just crack. Like almost to the point was broke. And so my brother broke all this stuff. Oh, he'll walk again. But
he's gonna be laid up for a minute.
Mm-hmm. But it's not like he has to work. He owns a business, so he's good.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I'm trying to blow my nose off camera so it's not so disgusting and so obvious, but obviously it's gonna pick up no matter what. Welcome back, pretty girl. How's your connection?
Yeah, we're listening. I'm listening, Summer. I just have to read it backwards because I have a mirror. I don't have a front camera, so I'm staring at the back of my phone.
That's exactly what I was saying, Jeff or Jason. A year for a cracked shin, but I mean, it is Mexico. They live in Mexico, so
no. But in my defense, I have no idea what he actually did. I just know he wrecked his bike and fucked up his leg. I don't know if he broke his leg completely because I didn't ask because none of my fucking business. I just noticed he was on crutches.
Again, you guys are in Mexico. It's very well known that the doctors and stuff. I am listening to you. Are not necessarily the greatest down there. I mean, people go to Mexico for cheap plastic surgery and boob jobs and this, that, and the other thing. So
for good reason. Well, the doctors here are actually really good. I don't know what some are saying. I can't read it because it's backwards.
Oh my God!
It says, "Do you see?"
Did we see Parker? Yeah, we see Parker. We couldn't hear.
Yeah, I saw him, but like you were popping in and out.
Her service was shitty because she was outside, so I just re-invited her, but now she can't join us because she has to take care of her Sims family. She started playing Sims on her phone, so she has to take care of her Sims family.
It says not Parker.
Not Parker. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, her new son, the cactus.
I actually, speaking of the Sims, when Sims first came out, I fucking dove deep into it.
I didn't even know it was still a thing, and that's what she told me.
I didn't know it was still a thing.
And I was
didn't know that.
I haven't played Sims since like PlayStation 2. I think I didn't even know
I had it on my laptop, and I fucking went retarded with it.
Yeah, I didn't even. God damn, there's like 900 million kids in this freaking graduating class.
Good Lord.
I still haven't seen my nephew, so I don't know what the hell's going on.
That's a lot of people.
But At the end of the day, thankfully your brother's okay, and he's going to have to take a good chunk of time to heal and all that jazz.
Yeah,
And clearly he's not phased by it since he already went out and bought
well,
another motorcycle.
it also comes down to my brother is one of those people. He's like us. We're not the brightest cookies in the box, we're constantly doing dumb shit anyways. Yeah. And he takes everything with a grain of salt. He's like, yeah, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, which is the most dangerous kind of people in the world. They're like, yeah, it is what it is. And like myself, he's not a person with a plan. He just like, well, okay, this happened. Now what?
Yeah. Well, thanks, baby. Summer's on the Facebook feed tagging a whole bunch of people. Stan,
yeah,
Kevin, TJ,
Kevin. she's our advertising person, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
bringing everybody in there.
But I was talking to my mother-in-law yesterday, and her English ain't great, but she said she laughed her ass off and was grossed out on episode 11 about the guy drinking all that oil. I was like, did you hear any of it? She's like, I heard bits and pieces. Nice. She's like, she said that guy was gross. I said, yeah, it was gross.
Let's get back to the main subject. What is the main subject? Please come on my podcast and take it over with Cactus and your Sims.
Speaking of cactus, Summer, you'll get a kick out of this. I'll send you a picture when we're done. Chris, if you can, you got that picture, forward it to Summer. I sent. My wife and I have built this little box. It's like a raised flower bed kind of thing, and we just kind of went into the woods and grabbed a bunch of plants. But next to the house, we found it's not a cactus. It's more like an aloe vera plant, but it's not that. It's apparently a Madagascar plant. It's indigenous to Madagascar. So how the fuck it got in my yard, we don't know. It's called? No, I do not know what it's called. My wife does. I'd have to ask her. It's some weird name, and it's in Spanish, so figuring it out sounds like too much work to me. But it's apparently on the endangered species list of plants. But it's a weird plant. It's mildly poisonous. Like, my wife held it when she planted it, and the next day she was throwing up. And we just thought she caught a bug somewhere. But apparently it was because she was holding this fucking plant. We had no idea that's what it was. She went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, oh, you just got a stomach bug. And my son was playing around with it.
He's not sending you an endangered poisonous plant. Stop it. Send it to me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it would be illegal for me to do so because it's on the endangered species list.
Do you have a red thumb? I don't know what that means.
A red thumb is kind of like the opposite of green thumb. Like it would die.
I don't know. She wanted to inform us that Junior the cactus is 3 weeks old now. He enjoys the sun, and he's a huge prick.
That's what cactuses do. He's a huge prick. Ha, 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 ha. The pun of it all.
Mm.
But yeah, apparently this thing,
she's a real punny feller.
Yeah, you're punny. But apparently this thing will literally take over your yard if you're not careful, because it seeds. If the wind blows, the seeds will fall off of it, and they go around the edge of the leaf.
I ask you, and I told you, I know you're not used to this, and it's a hard thing for you to do, but do research and make sure it's not an invasive species of plant.
I don't think it is. Well, like, my wife read the article, so she knows what to do with it. I literally just dig where she tells me to dig.
I read the headline. She read the article.
No, she literally told me. She's like, "Did you know this is endangered?" I'm like, "Cool. Does that mean I can bury a dead body on it and nobody can touch it?"
If it
I was like, "Because I can know some people."
If it spreads that easily and stuff, it could be considered invasive. So you that's a whole other mess of trouble that you could get yourself into with that thing. And you're just like, well, yeah, I'm building a freaking box for it.
The box I'm building for it is going to be because it's only about 3 inches tall at its height. It doesn't get very big. Unlike my aloe vera plant, which is almost a foot tall. But it literally it's pretty, which is, I always hate that word because I don't have another word of equivalent, but it's actually a pretty flower or pretty plant. I hate the word pretty.
You don't have another word equivalent to pretty.
Well, you know what I mean. It's cute.
Beautiful.
Cute. That just sounds too. It just sounds too super. It's
adorable.
Super.
Attractive.
Yes. Every one of those words just makes you sound fruity. But it's a good looking plant. We'll put it that way. It's like going to Staples every time I look at this plant. but you'll never live that Staples thing down. But the box I'm building for it is going to be like a foot high, so that when the wind does blow, it doesn't throw the seeds all over my fucking yard. The box I have it in right now is over a foot tall.
You should go give it to the dickhead who bought a palm tree and then planted it in the woods across the street from his house, since it's poisonous.
Yeah.
Like
I'll give him one of them.
Go plant one in his yard. Since they spread like that, just go put one in his yard in the middle of the night. Then over time,
but it's the weirdest thing. It was literally just like my doorway sticks out about 6 to 8 inches farther than the rest of the house. So you go back 6 to 8 inches, and then you got the wall, the side of the house, and it was right there in that corner. And we saw it, and we was like, "Oh, look at that! Isn't that pretty?" So I just kept watering it because I water my grass like a retard, because I want the greenest lawn in the whole complex, because I'm one of those assholes.
Yeah.
I just want to do it because I've always seen that in movies and stuff. I was like, I want to be that
Mexico,
guy.
So you live in Mexico, so you're surrounded by pool guys and landscapers. You should be good.
Oh yeah. Funnily enough,
Summer says I stick out 6 inches.
Not according to the average. Check his nose.
She's being far too kind. We know I'm below average.
But funnily enough, the guy that does the maintenance, that cuts the grass and stuff, he's afraid to get close to my plants. Days.
Why?
He just doesn't want to accidentally run them over with the lawnmower. so he just kind of leaves grass around. So I think I'm going to buy me a weed eater, so I can cut the grass just around my plants.
Afraid to get near. Yeah, what kind of shitty landscaper?
First of all, I have my car. My car is in my driveway, which is surrounded by my yard. He's always afraid of a rock flying up and hitting my car. And then on top of that, I built a chicken wire bush that I'm literally growing plants around it so that it looks like a bush, but the plants I'm using are not bushes.
Yeah.
They're vines.
Barely a grower, definitely not a shower.
Yeah.
He's a grower, not a shower. Referring to me.
Yeah, just like I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Well, that's probably a true
I'm not a fighter. I like to think I am, but I know I'm not. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that gets pissed off and then gets punched in the face and is like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, you're the guy that somebody puts their hand on your forehead and holds you away, and you're swinging. What are you gonna do, little fella?
I'm gonna kick you in the shins.
Wait for my big ass friend to get done drinking his 27th beer and come over here and cave your head in.
My mom. My mom is like 5 foot nothing, and she was talking to a lady in her new neighborhood, and apparently this lady was talking to my mom, and this lady pissed my mom off, and my mom went full Karen on her, and she's like, "Listen here, you motherfucker, blah blah blah." And this lady looked at her and with a straight face said, "You got a lot of mouth on somebody that has to tiptoe in the 5 foot 5 foot into the pool. she instantly dropped her anger and just started laughing.
Did you, Jason? Did you? My cousin said that he's apparently a fighter, especially in his sleep. Did you catch a domestic charge in your sleep there, Bubba?
Nice.
Jason done whooped his wife's ass in his sleep. I was asleep. I swear to God, I didn't. I don't remember a thing.
My cousin, he grew up in Chicago, and he would come down for the summer, and he would always be in, he'd crash in my bed, so we'd share a bed because I had a double bed. And he apparently the one day he and I got in an argument. He's like, "I'm gonna go sleep in your brother's room." I'm like, "All right, fucking go." Well, my younger brother, apparently had these karate dreams, so he kicked him all night and shit. So the next day he's like, "I'm sorry, we fought. Can I go back in your room?" Your brother kicks like a fucking mule.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and inviting people. You may leave and tend to your Sims. Go
and your cactus.
Go, yeah, and
Pat Jr. on the head. Just don't pat it too hard. Just don't do it too hard. You'll end up with a big old fat lip or something.
She was sending me pictures of her sim. She made a sim of me and then a sim of her, and it looked like her sim was twerking, and I was like, "What is it? What are you doing?" And she's like, "Looting." And I was like, "Looting? It looks like you're twerking." I guess what she was doing was farting on me. Her sim character was farting on me.
I went so retarded with The Sims. I built my parents' house put my parents in it and all this stuff. Yeah. And then I built my sister's house, and I had one with me and my girlfriend at the time. But what was funny is one of the characters is like my brother-in-law. I built him and my sister, and then it turns out his character ended up gay. And I was like, "What the fuck?"
No, wait a minute. So I'll get back to the Sims thing. So your same cousin ended up in a body cast because you pushed him down the driveway on a skateboard?
Nice. Oh, well, he are you talking about me?
I'm talking about you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, actually, my cousin
Alana said.
Okay, that's my niece.
Down the driveway on a skateboard, and he wound up in a body cast.
No, not a body cast. No, what happened is my cousin from Chicago.
There he is.
He grew up in suburbia. Okay, but he would always tell his buddies he would come to Ohio to the farm because my parents had 27 acres, and would come to the farm to do hillbilly shit. And he's like the most oddly suburbanite because he'd listen to country music, but be dressed like Kurt Cobain. So it's like, really?
What, he had a bullet hole in his head?
No, he had Kurt's haircut. Back in the 90s, we all had that. But
Angel said,
it all started one day. One day, my sister, he didn't bring, he'd fly down or whatever, and we'd pick him up at the airport. So he couldn't bring his bike or anything. But my sister had a pedal bike, and it had a flat tire one day as we were coming back home from town. He and I went to town to rent movies or some shit, and we came back and coming down the hill into my driveway, the back tire is flat on his bike, and the bottom of my driveway is when they salt the roads, they don't use salt, they use gravel.
Yeah.
So the bottom of my driveway is gravel, and of that real thin pea gravel, right? He comes down the hill, and that rear tire hits that gravel. A, it's flat, and B, it hits gravel. So he lays that thing down and ends up fucking up the entire side of his leg, dances around for 15 minutes, and goes, when he gets back to Chicago, he brags his friends that he's got a scar from his summer. Yeah. So it became a thing. He would come down to Ohio to get scars. So we, like I said, we would find stuff in the woods and ride skateboards down a ridiculously long hill. But the one time that he actually got a cast from playing hockey, but he did, like the day before he was leaving one time, we had had a bonfire the night before, and he decided, for some stupid reason, we decided we were going to jump over the ashes, see who could jump over the fire pit. The fire was out.
That back home.
Yeah.
Oh, the fire was out.
out.
We usually did it when the fire was going.
Oh, we did it. We did it the night before too, but we're pretty much hammered by then. But he goes to jump and he misses. You know how when you like try to jump a creek, but you're staring at the water, so you put your foot right in the water. He did the same thing, but with the fire pit. The fire wasn't out. The coals were stupid hot. Burning his leg all up to shit and stuff. But he never got into a cast from being on the farm. We almost destroyed my dad's tractor once.
That was a really long
explanation on how he did not get a cast.
Yeah, you and Kevin should do a story hour together. The only thing is that you guys would literally get one story told.
But yeah, I don't think he ever got in a cast from being on the farm, but he did bust his leg up pretty good playing hockey. I have to correct her on that, but that was had nothing to do with me. Although we did do a lot of dumb shit. We rode a go-kart frame down a hill.
Right.
There's no motor on it. We just push it to the top of the hill and ride it down the hill.
just coasted down.
Well, it had no brakes, and to stop, we would just wait till it stopped coasting. And if you really had to stop really fast, you run into a tree, call it a day.
Yeah.
We weren't too bright.
Well, she says not the story that she was told. So
no, he broke his leg. He broke his leg playing hockey, and it was a big deal because he fucked up his knee real good. But yeah, he had a bunch of scars from going down hills. Because you've been to my parents' house. It's in a valley. You can't go anywhere without going up and then down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And Reinhardt Hill is an S curve downhill.
Yeah.
And that's a interesting hill on a bike at, you'd hit 25, 30 miles an hour if you did it right. And the edges of the road are gravel. And then, of course, you have to worry about cars might be coming by. So you got to learn to dodge. But, yeah, we oh, my gosh. Looking back at some of the dumb stuff we did. Oddly enough, he would be able to tell his story better. But he's so weird about social media. He'll follow us. He'll listen to us. He will never comment. He will never come on live. He's real shy about social media. I don't know why. Like he watches all my TikToks and stuff and my YouTube, but he doesn't comment or nothing. He might send a thumbs up or something. Like, okay, I guess it was good. But yeah, but you said you had a story that you were checking if it was true, like a Florida news.
Well, it's not a Florida news or anything like that. But I had one that I wanted to go over last week. Which kind of goes back a few episodes to once again another headline you sent me. You didn't read the full article. You just sent me a headline.
No, I never do.
But
I never do. It's too much work.
Well, I mean, we clearly clicking on something.
Well, most of the stuff that I find it's interesting is literally like a screenshot. Somebody screenshots it.
Yeah.
So you'd actually have to spend time to actually find the correct article and all that fun stuff. That's too much work.
Well, a few weeks back we were talking about the whale penises and how they go back and like sea creatures and different monsters, people,
right.
Early explorers and stuff like that.
They would think the Kraken was not really a Kraken; it was whale dicks.
Yeah, because whales female whales are whores, and when they mate, they
go
take
three
on
at a time.
Yeah, they take on 3 at a time. So
And the other two just kind of wait with their dick hanging out, literally. Waiting
yeah,
their
literally,
turn.
they're just flopping around in the ocean.
Whenever you're ready.
So, yeah. Well, another famous creature may be to blame from the whale penis.
Uh-oh.
And that is the famous Loch Ness monster. Good old Nessie herself. They are saying
does the Loch Ness actually, does the loch actually go out to the ocean?
Look, I don't know. I've never been there.
I've never either. But that's why I asked, because I assume you have. I mean, it makes sense. Because most of those pictures you see, it's usually black and white photo, and it's just something sticking out. It's, like a bent dick, I guess. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But go ahead, read the article. I'm curious.
Summer wants to know if you've ever seen an elephant pew pew.
No, can't say that I have.
Don't worry, she'll show you.
I have seen a guy get his head stuck up an elephant's ass. Did I send you that video?
What? Yes, you did.
Holy shit, that cracked me up for like good 3 days. Yeah. That just reminds me of the dude from Evolution. You won't believe what I just saw.
So Mark says it goes that the Loch Ness goes all the way from one side of Scotland to the other side. So yeah, it definitely connects.
Okay.
I assumed that it did. I knew it was a huge water.
I always assumed it was like a lake, like a really big lake. But I guess since it's a loch.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Mark lives out in that area, or he lives in Canada. Basically the same thing.
Well, like the reason why I say that is because a loch is 2 bodies of water to like one's higher than the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went through the lochs in Michigan to go into Canada when I was in the Boy Scouts, but that's about the extent of my knowledge to lochs.
Well, the article says that I don't know. Maybe they'll explain it in this. I haven't read it fully. I just kind of skimmed through it to get a general idea.
Sorry, Summer just sent me a picture of that. Good God!
I was almost.
I'm gonna have nightmares.
Pretty accurate there, Mark. I said over in that area or Canada. It's all the same.
A couple 1,000 miles apart.
He lives in England.
That's still pretty far. You know that song, I Would Walk 500 Miles? Even if they were in the middle of England, they would still end up in the ocean. By the Proclaimers?
Yeah.
If they walk 500 miles and then 500 more, they'd end up in the ocean.
It's not that big out there. I mean, people backpack all over Europe all the time, and they do it relatively ease.
Well, it's like that movie Euro Trip. They're like, the dumb friend is like, it's Europe. They're like neighbors.
Yeah.
it's like going down the block.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like 6,000 miles.
Well, I've had friends that live over there, and they like, they're like, oh, I got to commute to, and I'm just throwing bullshit out there because I can't think of an actual thing. They're like, I got to commute to Germany for work, and I'm like, God damn, what does it take you? Like 12 hours? They're like, no, it's like 45 minutes for me. And
it's like, yeah, you can go from England to France and just by crossing the channel, the English Channel. On the other side of it is France.
Yeah.
And the only reason I know that is because of Top Gear.
It's just some dumbass car show you watch, I'm assuming.
Oh, I love that car show. It's 3 British guys that review cars, but they do some dumb shit. Like shit that you and I would do. Like they took a Toyota pickup truck and put a outboard motor in the bed and made the fucker float. Drove it into the water and crossed the channel in it.
10-mile channel swim, says Mark. So yeah, so scientists are now that
back on topic.
They're investigating that that could potentially not be some monster
It's a breeding ground for whales.
Now that you've seen the elephant penis, she can leave. She's done her job
Yeah.
this summer. You made
It's gonna
his
give
whole
me
day.
nightmares. Give me nightmares.
Ah, why did you do that, woman? I didn't want to see it again.
Nah.
I've already seen it.
That thing had a fifth leg, let me tell you. Jesus. I thought it was his trunk at first.
More money, more scientific research, more man hours, all going to research a penis. So
that actually makes sense. That's probably why nobody's actually found the Loch Ness monster. It's just a whale breeding ground. Whale would be central.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if you're like out there in a boat and you see off in the distance, you're like, "There's Nessie! Oh shit! This is my chance."
Let's rope it.
Yeah, and
you rope it cowboy style.
Yeah,
next thing you know, you're going across the lake at 50 miles an hour.
You shoot it with a spear or something like that, and you wrangle it in, and find out that it's just a whale and it's giant pecker. You're like, wow! It's on the side of the boat before you pull it in. You're taking pictures. And you got like your arm.
You're hugging it. You got it next to your face. And when you find out what it is, you're like, you throw up for 4 days.
You're like, damn it.
Now, see, I also is Loch Ness. Is it saltwater?
I'm sure. I always assumed
it was fresh water.
Mark said a guy divorced his wife to live in a caravan next to the water to find Nessie.
I've seen that dude. He literally lives in a shanty.
Yeah.
Off a lot, like 25 feet from shore.
Well, I mean, much like.
Can you imagine that poor bastard when he finds out it's a whale dick? That poor motherfucker. I gave up my entire life for this shit.
He read that article and tied cinder blocks to his feet and jumped into the mess.
No shit. That poor bastard. And his ex-wife's going, "See, you dumbass."
Yeah, fucking moron. Well,
now
like you said,
home,
is that
Bob?
You're like, no. But you ask about the saltwater. When I lived down in Charleston, in the evening times, like there was where my first apartment that I had was surrounded by marshlands, and right off the Ashley River, which fed into the ocean, or the ocean fed into the river, or whatever you want to call it. Right. But in that marshland, in the evening times during like high tide, the dolphins would come swim up there.
Oh, okay.
So there has to be some, and there was alligators and stuff like that, but alligators can live in fresh water. So there has to be some element of the salt water to where, because I mean, it was actually a pretty cool sight. You go down to the marsh and there was like a little dock. You could sit at the dock and the dolphins would literally swim 3 feet away from you, if that far.
Oh, I've swam with dolphins down here. They're crazy little fuckers.
They're little perverts. How many times have you been raped by a dolphin?
Never, but they do like to come up and slam into you.
Yeah,
like,
they say that they're some of the only animals that have sex for pleasure.
Pleasure, yeah. Them and humans.
So they do try to sexually assault people all the time.
Well, the ones they have here, there's like 3 or 4, maybe 5 places that you can swim with dolphins here.
You've been touched by a dolphin, haven't you? You're trying to You're trying to avoid the question.
No, but
show us on the doll where the dolphin touched you. Yeah. Show us on the moose. Right here.
They're weird creatures. That I was watching a thing on YouTube where they were talking about sharks. Like shark skin is like you can almost cut yourself on shark skin when you like if you're petting a shark. But dolphins, it's like it's like rubbing your hand across butter, like a wet car or something. It's weird. They're freaky fish.
Cam says you're avoiding it pretty harsh. You're avoiding the question. Something fierce.
Some of the best sex I've ever had, man. Did you have you heard the story? Robin Williams told a story on stage.
Mark said his friend's dog humps everything just that moves for pleasure.
Dogs, yeah. Well, Robin Williams told a story on stage. He did a live on Broadway, and he talks about he
Good subject.
met this famous gorilla that is one of the first gorillas that can do sign language really well, and and the translator sitting there is like, the gorilla Coco sees that you're kind of hairy. Can she see under your shirt? So he takes his shirt off, and Robin Williams is a hairy motherfucker. And the gorilla starts making all these sounds, and the gorilla, Robin Williams looks at the translator. Translator's like, "Put your shirt on." And she's like, "Why?" He says, "Why?" She's like, "She wants to mate with you." And he said, "My first reaction was, that could be interesting."
Well, Cameron said he won't look at the camera and he's acting nervous AF. We need to get this guy a therapist. That dolphin fucked him up.
They happened to be me and the dolphin.
It was a beautiful
I gotta turn my light on. Shit. I just realized my light was off.
There I was, swimming
with dolphins.
He rolled up on me, hit me with the e.
I said, "Yes, sir."
From that moment, I fell in love.
Well, Nikola Tesla, he was in love with a pigeon. Like, wanted to marry a pigeon.
Well, I mean, I thought not too long ago in the news. I can look it up and we can rehash it later. But I thought not too long ago there was a woman that was like going to marry a dolphin or some dumb shit like that.
No, she married her. I forget what it was.
Or there was a guy or something.
No, it was a woman. Like, it wasn't her dog, but she married an animal.
Well,
like her horse or some shit.
There was a lady in England that married a ghost and then divorced him because she cheated on him with another ghost not too long ago.
You talking about somebody needs therapy.
She was like, it was hilarious. I remember when the first story first came out, she's like, I fell in love with this ghost and we're going to get married and blah, blah, blah. And then she said,
it just reminds me of Scary Movie 2.
Yeah, and then she's like, once we got married, he totally changed, and he was hanging out with all his ghost friends, and he was never around. So I ran to the arms of this other ghost, and she's like, I fell in love with him. So I'm like,
what does your therapist say, honey?
This bitch is crazy. Mark says, yep, I know her. See.
Well, there was one guy, he wanted to marry the Empire State Building.
Oh yeah, there's like a show where people fall in love with what is it, inanimate objects or whatever. There was a lady that fell in love with a roller coaster.
I can't even begin to think where you get off on that.
Yeah. Mark said research there. Ancient Ram Inn. The owner was raped by a ghost.
That's like that Scary Movie too. Yeah. Tori Spelling is laying on the bed and that ghost is like,
didn't she rape him?
No, she rapes her while she's sleeping, and then she falls in love with him and starts. And she's like, you gave me crabs.
I don't know. People are strange. Speaking of strange people, I had to and famous actors. So the lovely culture that we live in, the lovely world we live in with this fucking Gen Z idiots.
Oh God.
Well, now they want to. There's another celebrity that made their radar that they want to cancel.
Uh-oh. Who is it?
It's the one and only Tony Stark, Mr. Robert Downey Jr.
Why? Because he did blackface in that movie?
Yeah. You ever see Tropic Thunder?
Yeah, that movie's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's a stupid movie, but it was hilarious.
They want to cancel him because he did blackface in that movie, and they called him a racist. I only can hope that he goes full Tony Stark on Gen Z.
Well, he's got like $500 million from the fucking Avengers movies.
Yeah, I was reading. Well, I seen it pop up on Facebook, and I'm like, "There's no way in hell that this is true." So I had to do a little research and look into it, and sure enough, yeah, they want to cancel him because he did that Tropic Thunder movie, and I was kind of telling Summer about it, and I was like, that was the whole point of the movie, like his character.
Exactly, that was going to be my next point. The whole point of that movie is to show the extreme that actors will go to, to do a movie.
Yeah, like they hired a white actor in the movie to play a black character in another movie, and like it's even brought up by one of the black guys in the movie.
Yeah, and he's like, he does that whole speech. Is like, you went full retard.
I'm a guy who's playing a guy
who's playing another guy. He's like, I'm a dude playing a dude that's another dude. But yeah, that's. Well, apparently, what's his name? Seth Rogen is slowly trying to avoid getting canceled because he apparently James Franco got in trouble for some shit. Like people were trying to cancel James Franco, and
I think James Franco fell into the pedo category. I think he was messing around with some underage girls.
Oh.
So I think that's where the heat is.
All I know is Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen was like, "Oh, shut up and take your cancellation." You know, and it's like, motherfucker, aren't you his friend?
Yeah,
you know. Yeah, he's like getting ahead of his. He's like getting ahead of his cancellation. And it's like that's the kind of friend that would literally be like, "Oh, there's a bus coming. I'll move, but I'm not going to say anything because I want to get it on film."
Yeah, well, that's what he's doing. I mean, that's what Seth Rogen's doing is he's basically throwing his hands up and saying, "Hey, I had nothing to do with this." Meanwhile, tossing Franco under the bus. Which I mean, if it happened, it happened, and he should face the consequences. But we also live in a society.
If it's something dumb like doing blackface in a movie, that's how long's Franco been acting? Since he's like 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's something he did when he was 10,
Franco,
let it the fuck go.
Well, Franco's, I think, like I said, I think it was something to do with sexual. Robert Downey Jr. It was that Tropic Thunder where they're trying to hit him for blackface and calling him a racist and this, that, and the other thing.
Well, he talked about it. This was like 2 years ago. He talked about it with somebody in an interview, and they were like, "Could you do that movie today?" And he's like, "Fuck no."
No.
He's like, and he explains in the interview, and where I'm getting the interview from. It's your favorite podcaster.
Mm.
And he says, that movie is all about the extremes actors go to do a movie because the paycheck is so fucking high that you're like, if I pass this up, I'm an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And,
well, I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, that and you also got to look, not only that, but now it's getting to Ellen DeGeneres, anyone? where
God,
where like
started on that crazy.
Where like the LGBTQ and the rest of the alphabet gang are going after people who are straight and they play a gay person or a transgender in a movie.
Yeah,
like, you have to hire a gay person or you have to. Well, that's why they're called actors.
They're called actors. They're like
fucking acting.
Do you really think the dude who played Stephen Hawking is in a fucking wheelchair? No.
Yeah.
And that's what they're complaining about.
Did you watch the Avengers and think that they are
real? Do you think Robert Downey Jr. actually has he probably does, but but because of that movie, they're like, here, keep this, Robert. It fits you. But it's not like there's no real magic Thor hammer.
3 foot tall raccoon running around blowing shit up.
Exactly. Or a tree that can say I am Groot 400,000 different ways. Speaking of I am Groot, do you know how much Vin Diesel got paid to say I am Groot 400 different ways?
Way too much, and that was about
way too much money.
His acting talent right there in that movie.
Yeah. I almost, I'm as a car nerd, and that's I can say I'm a nerd when it comes to cars, but as a car nerd, I almost don't want to watch Fast and Furious 45 or whatever it is because they've gotten ridiculous.
I stopped watching Fast and Furious after the second one. I thought they were dumb movies from the get-go.
I actually like Tokyo Drift because the concept that, I like drifting. I get that. Like I would watch D1. I've watched D1 on TV and I think drifting amazing. But the whole extra stuff of like, oh, we're going to do a heist. I'm like, no, motherfucker, you're street racers. You do not know how to use a gun that well. And I'm sorry, the whole wrecking a car and flying off it so you land and save somebody halfway, that whole scene in like Fast and Furious 55 or whatever it is, where Michelle Rodriguez is flying through the air, so Vin Diesel jumps out of his car 60 miles an hour and catches her midair, and they land on another car. I'm like, try that in real life. I want to see that.
Well, apparently that they did do that in real life, according to these idiots that want to cancel everybody.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently Vin Diesel's he owns Fast and Furious, like it's his baby.
So he needs to just stop with it.
Well, yeah, if you're getting paid almost $1 billion in total, because you can buy Fast and Furious speakers and car parts that say Fast and Furious on them, like they're manufactured Fast and Furious brand, like Pioneer, but it's Fast and Furious, and he's got a cut of all that. Like he's close to $1 billion. Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got a ton of movies under his belt. I don't know. The guy is, in my opinion, a horrendous actor.
Well, yeah,
he makes Sylvester Stallone look like a goddamn rocket scientist.
Yeah, he makes Sylvester Stallone look like he's lazy. Because how many Rockies are there? He's following the Sylvester Stallone playbook. Like, we're going to do 50 of these movies.
But the only
I like Pitch Black. I love those movies. The Riddick movies. I like those. Are awesome. But those Fast and Furious movies are so fucking dumb. and it just goes to show that Hollywood doesn't fucking know shit about cars, because if your manifold is failing, your floor does not fall out of your car.
Are you sure? I don't know. Maybe it does.
I know for a fact, because the manifold is actually the exhaust.
Well, we're going to avoid Jeff's garage today.
Well, what was it? In Fast and Furious 1, at the very end of the scene, you got that orange Supra with Paul Walker and Vin Diesel sitting in that Challenger, and he does a burnout while doing a wheelie. That is scientifically completely impossible, because smoke comes off the tires when you lose traction, and you do a wheelie when you have too much traction. You cannot have both.
It's a movie.
Well, I'm just saying, be accurate. That's the whole Fast and Furious thing. They're accurate.
You're one of those.
Oh, I'm an asshole, but
you're one of those people.
I'll watch that movie tomorrow.
If an actor's not gay or trans, they can't.
No.
If an actor's not handy crippled, they can't play a retard.
I'm only like that with car movies.
Johnny Knoxville is not really retarded. He can't play a retard in The Ringer.
Johnny Knoxville. Oh, are they doing? I don't know if this is true. Are they doing another Jackass movie?
Supposedly there might be in works.
I saw something about that. Like Steve-O's getting prepared. I'm like, what is there to prepare for?
Potentially they could be doing another Jackass movie, which
it's gonna fail.
It is what it is. I enjoyed.
It's Jackass gonna fail.
I enjoyed the first couple movies, but I mean, you can only do stupid shit so many times.
Yeah, well, it's like, Pauly Shore. In the 90s, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Pauly Shore, and Jackass is the same way. It had its moment. It's time to move on.
And Pauly Shore was Pauly Shore in every movie.
Mm-hmm. He played the same character.
Yeah. But
I just watched an interview with him, so that's where I got that example. But he was on the tippy top, and now he's like sad. I'm like, motherfucker, wipe your tears with all those millions of dollars, you prick.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sad. I'm not in a movie all the time. I'm like, you got money, produce a movie, fucker. What a rake.
Yeah, Do something with yourself, you whiny bitch.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
on to a lighter subject.
Yes, please.
So I think in a adults only trip, you and the wife and Summer and I need to
Hmm.
go to Iceland. Iceland.
Okay.
There's
Which
a
is technically
spa.
green.
Well, okay, Mr. Technicality. You can't fucking read an article, but you're going to hit everybody with, well, scientifically, shut up.
I'm just saying.
You're
Well, go ahead.
uninvited. You can't go on. You can't go on the train with us anymore. You're gonna be that guy. Why is it called Iceland when it's green? Look, you guys.
Oh, I'll be there the whole time going, this doesn't look like ice.
a false advertisement.
I'll sue the country. False advertising, motherfucker. I brought skis. I brought skis and a snowboard, you pricks.
And Greenland is actually no. Yes, everybody knows.
But yeah, go ahead.
Speaking of those countries, there's a show on Netflix you should check out. It's called Ragnarok. But
It's isn't that in like German or something?
In Iceland. What?
Ragnarok? Is it in English?
No, they're fucking. Yeah, well, yeah, it's like Norwegian or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Actually,
But it's a pretty good show.
Check out Norseman. But yeah, go ahead.
So, anyways, there's a spa in Iceland that lets customers bathe in beer.
Oh, I'm in.
Can I drink the beer while I'm bathing in it?
Do you really want to?
I mean, if it's a fresh tub and I'm the only one that's been in it.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
Give me one of them little crazy straws and just stick it right down in there.
Yeah, but what if it's like a hot tub with you, me, Summer, and my wife in a hot tub of beer, and you're like, somebody give me a straw. I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. I gotta go back to the room.
Well,
I'm gonna take a shower.
You can't drink beer warm or hot. Second of all, and that's why I said if I had my own little individual tub and I just sat down in there and it was slightly chilled, I'd just give me a little crazy straw and dip that sumbitch down in there.
Oh, you're saying you can't drink beer warm? No, go away. You can't drink beer warm, but in England, that's how they serve it.
Yeah, in England and in Germany, actually, because a lot of the German beers that I drink, they if you read the label, they're supposed to be served at like room temperature.
That's just disgusting.
Which, in all honesty, those German beers, they're delicious cold, ice cold. That's how I like my beers.
Right.
But they're also actually pretty good at room temperature. They're, like I can't drink a Budweiser if it's at room temperature.
I can't either.
Or any of the other, domestic beers around here. There's some of the breweries that make beer that you can drink them, but the German beer this is like real German beer that's been imported. I can actually drink it at room temperature. It's still really good. So, but I prefer it cold.
But does it say what kind of, how long would you be bathing in this beer?
Well,
at the spa.
It says the spa in Iceland is offering visitors a chance to bathe in a tub full of beer. The Bjorn Boden Beer Spa gives customers a chance to have a soak in what is known as young beer. Oh, well, it doesn't even contain alcohol. I'm out.
Oh, yeah, I'm done. I'm good. So basically just yellow water. I can piss in a kiddie pool and you can bathe in that.
Gross. Which young beer, which contains no alcohol and isn't fully ready to drink. The bath is filled with all the main ingredients of beer: yeast, barley, and water. Bath oil is added to make it a relaxing experience. The young beer is supposedly very good for your skin. The spa's website states the bathtubs made from Kimbala wood are 7 in total, so we can have about 14 people each hour. It's available for people one at a time. Okay, so you're in there one at a time or two together.
Okay.
There's no age limit.
Yeah, because there's no alcohol.
There is a beer drought at every tub for anybody over 20. So the tubs have a fucking drought, so you can drink beer while you're taking a bath in the tub. Win.
Yeah, that's a win.
So I'm going to turn into the guy that drinks
45 we could just hang out,
and I'm just going to put my mouth right on the tap and just crack it open. Oh.
Yeah, but for the expense of going to Iceland just to drink beer, we could just sit on your back porch and do the same thing.
This is true. If I had a back porch, but it's still.
I mean, because the beer bath has no alcohol in it, so it's just I don't care what my skin looks like.
It's good for your skin, man.
Yeah.
It'll make you look 20 years younger.
Well, they say every time you masturbate, you the endorphins that you create helps you live longer, which means I'm immortal. So I'm not worried.
Fair enough.
When you really think about it, but they say the same thing about exercising. Every hour that you exercise adds an hour to your life. But if you're going to spend the hour exercising, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, but how true is that when you got people that run marathons and runners their whole lives and their fucking heart explodes when they're 30 years old?
Well, I think those people, like when Prince died, that motherfucker was healthy as a fucking horse and he had a stroke and died. I think that's a genetic thing. But I mean, what's that? There's that one guy. He was like, he was in Guinness Book of World Record for the most in shape person over like 80 or some shit. And the dude he's like a mini John Cena, but he's 80 years old.
Yeah.
Like the juicer guy with the giant eyebrows. But
I don't know.
Doing stuff to extend your life is just I almost see it as kind of a waste, because if you're just going to find more shit to do to extend your life, you're extending it just to waste more money and time doing stuff to extend. So it's
I look at it this way: when it's my time to kick the bucket, it's my time to kick the bucket.
Amen to that. There won't be no begging and pleading on this end. I'll be just like, hey, I had a good one.
Time to go. I hope Bill's ready, because I'm coming, you sons of bitches. They're gonna be like, no, he ain't dead yet. Keep him alive. He ain't allowed to come down here.
Well, see, that's another reason why I think I'm immortal, because heaven doesn't want me and hell's afraid I'll take over. So they're like, in purgatory, I'll just be like, what's up?
I'm gonna get to hell and be like, let the fuckery begin, boys.
Yeah, let's do something stupid. Somebody pass me a cigarette and a beer. I'm ready to rock this motherfucker.
Get fucked up. Who wants to drink? Come
on. My brother told me a joke the other day. He says, I'll adapt it to hell. Is like, he says, you're gonna love hell. Anytime you want sex, there's a barrel over there. You just go and you have sex, and he says, if you want to go on Wednesday, go on Wednesday. If you want to go on Tuesday, he says, but you're not going to like Thursdays. He's like, why? Because Thursdays you're in the barrel. Oh, shit. So it's like, but yeah, I have zero fear of death. I mean, it's not like I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not trying to prevent it.
Yeah, exactly.
By doing something. I mean, I look both ways when I cross the street. That counts.
I'm not doing anything to accelerate it, but
yeah, exactly. I'm not trying. I'm not on the fast track, but I'm kind of like, if it happens, it happens.
I'm just gonna hang out here for as long as I can and just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, speaking of dying,
I
got one for you.
Okay.
I like to throw curveballs at you from time to time.
I'm ready.
A wealthy. This is the headline. This is about as far as you would get in the story.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I like speculation, so I just speculate the whole time.
I thought something hit my window.
Ah.
It was Austin walking in here.
There's death waiting for you.
The Grim Reaper kicking my door in. Let's go, fucker. I can't.
It's time. Like, hold on, let's finish recording and let's finish recording and post this motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh man, settle down. No, but so a wealthy recluse lived with a burglar's body for 15 years. Bruce Roberts kept Shane Snellman's rotting corpse in his home 15 years after shooting him dead in 2002.
Nice.
Says a wealthy recluse murdered a burglar who entered his home before keeping his mummified body for 15 years. And if this is the picture of the actual body, it's mummified, but he's got his hands and feet tied
Bound.
together. Yeah.
Nice. So would he starve him to death too? Like shoot him in the arm and then starve him to death?
He shot him dead.
Oh.
An inquest heard how Bruce Roberts gunned down Shane Snellman in Sydney, of course, in Australia.
His neighbor's like, "What happened, Bob?" He's like, "Oh, I dropped a pot."
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. We're doing
It's no big deal.
But it says Bruce Roberts gunned down Shane Snellman in Sydney in 2002 and lived with his decomposing corpse in his bedroom until his own death in 2017.
Good Lord.
Snellman's body was not discovered until May of 2018 by cleaners who went inside the property to clear the premises for sale. Oh my God.
And one of the cleaners had a heart attack. So.
Right? So Mark said, "What the fuck? Somebody that desperate for company?"
I was gonna say, that guy must have been a real asshole.
Yeah.
I read a small article the other day. There's a headline, but it was a blind hoarder. You know, these people that keep newspapers from like 1942.
I've seen that.
They found a dead body in her house.
Yeah.
And turns out it was like her son he was like 25 or something, had fallen, died, and she didn't notice. She thought he just left.
Yeah, she lived with his dead body for 20 years and had no idea. She thought he just was like, "Fuck you, Mom.
All right, Mom, I'll see you later."
Yeah.
They thought he moved out. That's fucked up. She's like, "I must have really pissed him off. He hasn't come see me for 20 years.
Right?
He's over in the corner there, Grandma." Jesus.
Wow, just underneath a bunch of shit. But yeah, it says his corpse was fully clothed and kept in a seated position while Roberts used a large number of air fresheners to disguise the smell that emitted from Snellman.
Good God.
Analysis found that he had a gunshot wound to the I don't even know what that is. Supraclavicular, some big medical term.
Why can't they just say the head or the back of the
So he shot him in the neck, like right at the collarbone.
Oh, okay.
So why didn't they just say that? Which is what they said after they used the big fancy word.
Yeah. They just want to show I'm smarter than you.
Yeah, it's that indentation right there between your neck and collarbone where they connect, essentially.
So it basically got his artery and it fucked her blood out.
Snellman was also identified through his tattoos, DNA, and fingerprints from his previous criminal report. The New South Wales coroner report also heard how a stash of 19 illegal firearms and ammunition was later recovered at Roberts' house. So this dude was just like a cranky old rich man that was just looking for an excuse to shoot somebody.
Well, I guarantee you, he went to his room every night. He was like, "How you doing, Bob?
Yeah.
Have a good day? I'm going to bed." Spraying the air freshener before he goes to bed. "I'm going to crack this window, Bob. I hope it doesn't get cold. Let me throw a blanket on you just in case you get cold." That's fucked up.
Well, there you go, buddy.
That just shows it. There's some really... Well,
he shot and killed him. Then he kept him. But not only did he keep him, he put him in a chair in his bedroom. So he just
so he can talk to him at night. "Hey, Bob, you want to see the new Avengers? I got it on DVD."
That's the last place I want to keep a body at in my house is in my bedroom.
I know. At least put the fucker in a freezer or something, man.
Put him in the basement. I don't know.
Something.
Bury
him in the garden.
Yeah. Put him under an exotic Madagascarian plant.
Yeah, something.
Well,
that's weird. I mean, I admit there's weird people out there. I'm probably one of them, but having a dead body in your bed. I mean, that guy obviously didn't have very much of a social life.
Well,
can you imagine bringing a girl home? Like, "Don't worry about Bob. He likes to watch." She's like, "Bob's staring at me."
A wealthy recluse, so he kept to himself.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, the issue with people coming and going wasn't that big of a deal, and if they were, it was in his bedroom. So
yeah, if they did, it was just stay in the living room. Don't worry about that smell. Spray some of this Lysol. But yeah, that's creepy. I mean, I can totally understand shooting the guy. I can totally understand hiding the body. I can understand all that. You know, somebody breaks in, you don't want to get in trouble because you shot him. Bury him in the garden. But in the bedroom, in a chair. Was it like a wooden chair, like a rocking chair, or was it like a recliner or something?
No, they didn't say what kind of chair it was. They just said it was in a chair in the
Just give him a folding chair or something.
Yeah.
I mean that's the question that I have is like, what kind of chair was it? Was it like a recliner? So he's like propped up with a beer in his hand, or was it art? Or was it just like I got a folding chair in the garage, I'll be right back, Bob?
Yeah, right. It was just like, this will do.
Well, if he shot him, I'm sure if he's according to where he shot him, I mean it that would probably take a couple minutes to die. So he probably sat there and watched him die. He's like, sorry, sucks to be you.
I doubt he was saying sorry. He was probably talking all kinds of crazy shit. He is Australian. Yeah. So he was probably talking all kinds of mad shit.
I'm gonna go throw another shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah.
Which would be me if somebody breaks in my house and I shoot you, because that's if you break in my house, I'm fucking wrecking your world. But if I shoot you, I'm gonna.
Speaking of your house,
I'm gonna talk so much shit.
Oh, I will too. I will talk your ear off while you die, just so that the last thing you remember is me going ha 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 fucker. But speaking of your house, you have that machete above your door and stuff. You saw that picture I sent you of weird collections. The guy's got that collection of swords that is literally, how high would you say that was? 5 stories?
It looked like it was in a fucking mansion. Yeah, about 5 or 6 stories.
Of every available inch of display area on those walls, in almost like a bell tower kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is swords. There's another guy he had
a bunch of medieval
swords and helmets and
armor.
Yeah, armor. But there was another guy, he had over 200 bowling balls in a pyramid. People collect the weirdest shit.
I would be so tempted. One was from the bottom and just
take from the bottom and just watch it fall. Hell yeah. I'd be like, watch this, Bob. I want the pink one. But there was some people that one guy had was it like 50,000 pieces of McDonald's memorabilia, including a giant Ronald McDonald, which is just creepy. Like he, they had that bench with Ronald McDonald sitting on it with his arm around it. He had one of those in his house.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
that's a little
extreme.
That's a bit extreme. That's I don't know. Everybody has their collections. I mean,
my mom collects spoons. It's got a trolley. It's like she's got one from San Francisco that's got a trolley car on it, and it's engraved and all that stuff. They're really intricate and nice and cool. But McDonald's memorabilia, that's just,
Yeah, I have a bunch of I still have them. They're just in a box. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a collection, but like the specialty beer cans,
right?
Or specialty.
I used to collect business cards. I had, how you get they had like the folders for baseball cards.
Mark had the same problem. Mark said he collects beers.
But
don't be mad because your quarterback's still sitting on the bench crying and talking shit about my Browns.
Here we go. But it was like, I used to collect business cards because everywhere you go, somebody's got a business card. So it was really cool because if I needed something, I didn't go through the yellow pages. I went through my book of business cards. But some of the stuff they had on there was like really weird. Like the one guy had a collection of salt and pepper shakers from fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
My grandmother collected salt and pepper shakers, but like really cool ones. Like she had ones that was 2 birds. She had ones that was like 2 penguins, and all these different to the point where there was no space on her walls.
Keely said
Because-
she collects souls. You're not even a ginger.
But yeah, I mean, people collect the weirdest stuff. It's a weird concept. That guy collected a dead body.
I collect hats, apparently. I have a lot of hats.
I'm not allowed to have hats. I have like 3.
I'm always
My wife
told I'm
hates
not
it
allowed
when
to
I
buy
wear a hat.
anymore, but I always buy hats.
Well, my dad used to collect hats, but Dad had a rule: he couldn't collect it if it had to pay for it.
Oh well, I've paid for all my hats. I mean, like every time I go down to see Summer, and we'll like go to her store, and she always tells me I'm not allowed to buy anything, but I still wind up getting 1 or 2 hats and some shirts.
Well, it's like my dad.
like
My dad was a plumber for all those years, and the suppliers would be like, here's an O'Moen hat. Here's a this company's hat. So he had a wall of hats going down the stairwell. There was just a bunch of ball caps, but it was like Mack Truck, and he's like, see my collection? I didn't pay for a single one. It's like, okay.
Pay for a single things.
But it's not like he planned it. It was just, people give him a hat, and he's like, oh,
Well, I mean, I can see where that happens.
Yeah.
At one point in time, I had a bunch of hats from different vendors and stuff when I was doing maintenance at OSU. We had different vendors that would come in, and they would always just bring swag. So you would have, like I had at one point I had like 10 Fastenal beer koozies. I love koozies, but you don't need 10 Fastenal koozies. They were all different ones, but still.
Well, I was like, yeah, my mom was a nurse. She was a RN for a oncology, and the drug reps come in like, here's a shirt, here's a pen shaped like a needle.
Yeah.
I actually got in trouble one day at school for actually writing in a pen with a pen that was shaped like a needle, like a syringe. And people were like, oh, you can't use that. I'm like, why? It's a pen. I needed a pen.
Oh, that was one thing we never ran out of at OSU was pens, because from Fastenal, Johnson Controls, Granger, anybody who came in there, if there was an outside contractor or a vendor, they always brought pens and like little notepads. So
and Chris was in heaven. He's like, I don't need to go to Staples.
Look, Ranger guy's here today.
New pen.
We're gonna bring me a new pen and paper. I need to take my break early.
I'll be right back.
Boss, I'm going on break. Why do you always go on break after the rep's been here?
No reason.
But
did you see this article? I saw this on TikTok. A lady, she owns a business, and speaking of your pen obsession, she has a break time scheduled. Like, you can schedule a break time for, like, if you smoke, you can go have a break. If you want lunch, go have a break. If you want to masturbate, you can have a break.
What?
Yeah.
That's not even a real thing.
I kid you not. I didn't do any research on it, but I was like...
Well, of course you didn't do any research on it.
But...
let me show you how much effort it takes to do research on it.
Go ahead, look it up, please, because I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Well, you know how when you're scrolling through, I went to look it up, and I was went back onto TikTok to look up the name of the business, and TikTok refreshed, and I lost it. Every once in a while, TikTok will just refresh, and you get a whole new set of stuff you can scroll through. That's what happened. So I didn't actually get a chance to look it up, because I was like, I'm gonna apply for a job. Well, you not get paid to jerk off? I'm in. When do we leave?
Well, I looked it up, and there's a couple different things, but this is an article from Lad Bible. Boss lets staff take masturbation breaks at work.
Boom.
The boss of it now, but no, wait. The boss of an adult entertainment company.
Ah, well, there you go.
Offers her employees half-hour daily masturbation breaks after finding they become agitated during lockdown. Erica Lust, and she sounds like a porn star.
Yep.
Boss,
I don't think that's her real name.
Actually, there we go. She's the boss of Erica Lust Films.
Yeah.
is hoping to normalize masturbation by allowing her 36 members of staff a half-hour masturbation break every day, and has even set up a private masturbation station at the office.
Like everybody sits around a conference table and rubs one out. I mean, that's what you doing, Bob?
Monday morning masturbation meeting.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
well,
in that industry, I totally get that, because you're literally seeing, it's not like you go to work at a Kinko's and see your coworker naked.
Yeah.
We've all had that job where you got that hot coworker and you're like, I'd like to see her naked. Imagine working on a porn set where everybody, you're like, I've seen you naked.
Well, and here's the thing. I looked that up, so I found that one article, but there's several articles that are saying that masturbation at work could become a serious trend. The UK Daily Mail says masturbation breaks at work can be very effective and a great way to combat stress. Psychologists.
I know it calms me down.
Psychologists say self-love shouldn't just be conducted in your bedroom at night. Instead, doing it at work could provide an escape route from stressful days. Mark Sargent of Nottingham Trent University was behind the suggestion. However, his claims were backed up by Dr. Cliff Arnold, a life coach based in Wales.
Self-love. Well, you know what they say about self-love. You can't love anybody else till you love yourself.
Yeah,
I've had a crush on me since I'm 13. So
yeah. So apparently, this is actually something that's. It goes all the way back to 2017.
Well, there you go. I don't see it going mainstream though. Can you imagine going to the bank like, sorry, I have to take my masturbation break?
Yeah. Well, the story about the lady who
she comes back all flushed. Can I get change for 100? But wash your hands first,
Yeah, the story about the lady who owns the adult entertainment company, that story just came out last week.
Well, there you go. See,
so they've been talking about it for about 4 years now, 5 years, and just recently it seems to be, well,
like I said,
I guess when I go in for my interview this weekend, I'll be like, so
you guys give masturbation breaks?
Are part of the perks of working here that we're allowed masturbation breaks? Because I hear that makes the work life environment a pleasant place.
What do you mean you'll call me, don't call us?
Why are the police here?
But I mean, that.
You asked me
totally
if I had any questions.
You asked. No, but I mean, it does make sense. The whole relieving stress thing. But can you imagine getting up from your desk like, well, it's about that time. I'll be right back. And then you come back all flushed and relaxed, and people are like, yeah, I know what you're doing. I got mine in about 10 minutes. Is that why you're looking at porn on your desk there, Bob? I'm like, yep. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it becoming a major trend.
Well, not in the States.
Well, where's this going on, so to speak? I guess
her company, I'm assuming, is in the States.
Understandably, because she runs a porn site.
But the other articles and stuff were like out of England and stuff like that, where they're a little bit more laid back on stuff like that.
Yeah,
sexuality and sex and stuff like that isn't so taboo in other countries like it is here in the States. I mean, if you watch some of the shows from, like, just say BBC, for instance, and I don't know if Mark's still listening or watching, and then like they'll do an American version of it, but if you get to watch like the actual
like what they did with The Office,
British version or the English version, it's like, wow, they put that on regular TV. There's a show that was out years ago, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was basically a werewolf, a vampire, and a ghost all lived in a house together. And it was originally a BBC show, and it was like a drama. It was like a drama action type show. It was actually a pretty good show.
You pitch it so well.
Yeah, I know. It's essentially what it was, but it's got a lot of action. It's got a lot of
It's like Charmed, but for adults.
yeah, but the American version that was on Sci-Fi compared to the BBC version that was just on regular TV was like day and
Really
night.
dumbed down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
This was on a cable channel. It wasn't even on like a regular channel. So
yeah, well, I've often stated that some shows would be better, like if they allowed stuff. Like, I was a huge fan of Sons of Anarchy. I know you haven't watched it, but it would have been so much better on HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Like Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, if you put that on FX or something, it would have sucked.
Well, I mean, you remember, I don't know, you remember years and years ago, everybody lost their mind because I think it was NYPD Blue showed Sipowitz's ass in a scene.
Right.
And it was on like Channel 10. It was on like regular broadcast. And like everybody shit themselves because it was the first time there was any nudity on regular broadcast TV. It's like, and it wasn't like he was an attractive man at all. He was.
I was like, it's not like Courtney Cox is sitting there going, "Hey, check this out."
Yeah,
that would have been one hell of an episode of Friends. But yeah, it's the I think the whole thing of the non-nudity on TV is like, okay, people are watching this with their kids, but if you're watching NYPD Blue with your kids, you got bigger issues than Sipowicz showing his ass.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of shows have come a long way because there's like shows like my daughters, and I have to remember they're getting older, but they're obsessed with like Riverdale and stuff like that. And I'll sit down and watch like 30 seconds of it and be like, should you really be watching this or not?
Right? Yeah. You know what? Hey, don't knock it because that show, unfortunately, I've lost the plot and I can't keep up with it because it's Riverdale is actually a decent show. Like Luke Perry was in it until he died. He played Jughead's dad.
I know you're gay.
Yeah. Hey, I like that shit. I'll tell you what, though, the chick that plays it was super.
Be careful,
but the chick that played the major problem I had with that is the chick that played Veronica in that was always dressed to the nines, like she was going onto the red carpet as opposed to going to high school.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know much about the show. I know my oldest daughter is obsessed with it. She loves that show. And I used to
I liked it. I enjoyed it.
I used to torment her all the time and be like, "Oh, so and so's gonna die. Oh, so and so's gonna die." Like her favorite characters, I'm like, "Yeah, they're gonna die."
Well, no,
I did the same. I did the same thing this summer because like she was watching that movie.
Speaking of TV shows that are meant for kids that I find hilarious, we got Disney Plus again.
Yeah.
And my wife, for no reason, was like, "Hey, let's watch this." And I didn't hear what she said. She pressed play, and I'm watching it, and I was like, we watched like 4 or 5 episodes. And I all of a sudden went, "Are we watching fucking Hannah Montana?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Fuck, this is a weird, funny show." I'm fucking hooked.
There were several shows on Disney that were pretty good. That my kid.
We literally yesterday, my wife, after we dropped her stuff off, we got home and we watched Hannah Montana until we passed out.
Yeah, there was a lot of shows when my kids were younger that they used to watch on Disney that I would watch with them. Like it was Good Luck Charlie and a couple other shows. They liked Hannah Montana. I thought Hannah Montana was funny, for the most part. I just would scratch my head and go,
"Well, what surprises me is they get people like The Rock was on it. Yeah. Dolly Parton's been on 2 episodes so far that I've watched. We're on season 2. Yeah, well,
she played her. She
plays her
aunt, godmother or aunt or something.
Yeah, like I don't know, but I don't know what it is. But I'm like, I'm waiting for Miley Cyrus's head to spin around. So I'm like, it's gonna come. I know it's coming because that chick's weird. So I'm waiting for signs where they're like, really? You guys didn't realize that?
Yeah, I just watching that show as an adult going, I'm like, how did they not know? Like,
well, on top of that, you watch some of the parts of the show and you're like, really? You know, like he was yelling at Billy Ray Cyrus is yelling at his TV son, and I'm like, the kid literally is pouring milk into a box of cereal because there's no dishes, and you're going, if you don't do these dishes, I'm like, that would have been a belt. Do these dishes, motherfucker.
But it's the same. When he was growing up, Superman, he puts it's like
yeah. I know what you're saying, but I really didn't know.
I'm Clark Kent.
No, I have glasses on now. I'm Superman. Yeah. I mean, that's the funny thing that with the whole Hannah Montana thing. It was like, really, you can't tell? You were just in front of Hannah Montana, where you were almost kissing her, and now you're in front of Miley, and you're almost kissing her, and you don't realize those. Like, you don't even go, hey, you kind of look like.
You look a lot like.
But it's. But apparently, the kid that plays Rico, he's like 4 foot nothing.
Yeah.
He was on the show The Middle. Did you ever see that show?
The Middle?
Yeah, The Middle. It stars the janitor from Scrubs.
What's up, Connor?
And the chick that played the lady, she played Raymond's wife on Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah, they were like the middle class poor family type show. Yeah.
Holy shit, that show is hilarious. Well, that kid Rico that's on Hannah Montana he played the daughter's love interest in one season. And I'm sitting there watching Hannah Montana with my wife, and I'm like, where the hell do I know that kid? And my wife's like, you don't recognize him? And I'm like, no, I know that kid somewhere. And she took my phone, so I couldn't look it up. She's like, I'm not going to tell you until you figure it out.
Yeah.
And 5 episodes in, I'm going, fuck, how do I know this kid? Finally, when my wife falls asleep, I look it up. I'm like, I know who he is now.
Yeah.
And my wife, the next morning, my wife's like, so did you figure it out? Like, yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah, I looked it up. How's training going, Connor? Probably our biggest fan of this bullshit podcast that we're doing. Connor just shipped out for training, his Army training, because he got done with the Air Force and then re-enlisted into the Army. So he shipped out. He's on Facebook.
So you started out bi, but now you're totally gay. That's my little dig at the Army, because I was full Navy. I was going to go join the Navy, and then I ended up moving down here instead.
Don't call anybody gay. You're like,
I know.
Dude can sail the 7 seas.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with the Army. When you sign up for the military, they ask you what job you want, and there is a job listing for a tire specialist.
You can pretty much do anything you want.
No, well, for instance, in the Navy, if you want to be a mechanic, it's a mechanic. You basically learn how to work on everything from a submarine to a 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton. In the Army, you are a tire specialist, so you change tires on a Humvee.
Yeah,
that's it.
There's a lot more jobs in the Army that are available because a lot more people go to the Army because it's cooler. He said, nah, the Navy does full on bus stuff.
The only reason I was going to join the Navy is because I was like, I'm going to see the fucking world, not Afghanistan, because there's no water in the desert.
You can see the. Yeah.
That was my thing. Is
any branch of the.
Yes, but the chances of somebody from the Navy being in Afghanistan are slim to none because there's no water in the fucking desert. That was my thought behind it. I was like, I want to join the military.
She just popped into the Facebook and seen that. No, she just popped in and seen Connor was here, so she's excited. Connor and I used to work together at Abercrombie, and on the weekends when we'd hang out, and I'd be talking to Summer. Connor was always talking on the phone with her too. He was always in my Snapchats and shit like that.
I only worked one retail job like that.
We weren't working retail. We were security.
Oh,
at the distribution center the
Oh,
home
okay.
office. And on the weekends,
okay.
it was dead there. So, we
There's
didn't
nothing
really
to do. Yeah.
do much on the weekends.
I thought you were talking like you were in the mall, in the store. Like,
No,
how can I help you today? Well, I did
No.
that in high school for like a month at Pacific Sunwear. And the only reason I did it is because Pacific Sunwear had really cool clothes and gave me a discount. I hated that job. I sucked at it.
He said in the Army, Connor said in the Army, we just kiss and shit. The Navy sleeps together and do butt stuff. I fucking love Afghanistan.
Well,
Summer's working towards level 8 on Sims because at level 8 of Sims, her characters can bang.
nice.
She's at level 7.
I'm telling you, I had the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna get to this level, and my Sims can have a kid or they can bang. And then it turns out one of my Sims was gay. He's like, I don't want to deal with her. I was like,
don't you get to pick the orientation of your characters?
No, well, I'm talking about Sims 1, like the first ever. And it was literally it would like you would you'd look at the paper to pick a job.
Oh,
and
I don't know.
It was so weird. And like it would give you 3 options for a job, and you click on one and it says, "Yep, you got the job."
I don't know anything about that game.
I got it to the point where I found a cheat code for money, so none of my Sims had jobs, so I didn't have to worry about waking them up. Because I was like, you mean I have to actually wake the fucker up to get him dressed, get him showered, get everything before he goes out the door? Fuck that. I'll just put in the cheat code for a couple $1 million and just build the house out.
Yeah.
I just wanted it to build the house.
Well,
I want to get him a cool couch.
All the episodes are up to date on Spotify.
Yeah, episode 12 just came out.
Yeah, I just put it up today before we recorded this one. It'll probably go up Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, it's about that time to mention the fact that we're on every piece of social media there is.
Remember, we haven't even brought it up once.
Yeah, well, that's why I say it's about that time. Anybody listening, check us out on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook. What am I missing? Spotify.
Do you even know what social media we're on? Do you know anything about this podcast outside of turning your camera on and talking?
That's my job. I make sure I show up.
Yeah, that's why you're the co-host.
That's right. Or maybe I'm the smarter one because I don't edit or anything. You'd
be the smarter one when money's going into my bank account.
Well, it's like I was talking. I'm on that Facebook forum for podcasts, and that lady was talking about having a script, and I was like, a script? She was like, do you guys have a script? I'm like, a script? If we had a script, we'd look at it and go, wow, we're really behind here.
Yeah, oh man, we were supposed to, oh fuck it, just crumple it up and throw it away. Spotify's free though, Connor.
Yeah.
We're not that popular, or we're not even remotely close to being Amazon Prime worthy yet.
Yeah, right.
Or on iTunes.
No, Spotify.
Just download Spotify.
You can get a premium.
It's fucking free.
Yeah, Spotify, you download it for free. You can actually download the episode. But Spotify, you can do offline, like if you're not online. But that you got to do a premium package.
Yeah.
But as long as you're home or you're got Wi-Fi, you're fine.
Wi-Fi
or data
or whatever. Well, I'm sorry that we are not popular enough or cool enough to be on iTunes yet.
We are on iTunes. It automatically puts us on iTunes, doesn't it?
No, I don't. Where are we?
Did you opt out of it?
No, I didn't opt out of it. We have to be approved. We have to be approved.
That's the weird thing. Like,
so certain, like they'll put it up there for all these different formats, but the podcast itself has to be. We're on Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify,
Podcast,
and Copy RSS.
Oh, there you go.
Which Spotify, Anchor owns Spotify.
Copy RSS. That means you can put in your own.
Spotify owns Anchor or vice versa, so
Right.
it automatically goes up there.
No.
Summer said she would opt out of Paps.
Well, the reason why we do Haps is because we couldn't figure out Facebook.
No,
We couldn't figure out how to both of us go on Facebook.
You can't figure out Facebook.
No, we tried that one time. We could not figure out how both of us go on Facebook at the same time.
You have to accept my invite. Summer's been on Facebook.
I never got it.
Before.
I never got the invite. That's the problem. Anyways.
That's your hashtag Juan fan. Love you, Connor. Love you, man. Be safe, brother. Connor said, love you all. Good night and stay classy, nonsense. From Ohio to Mexico, I fully believe your podcast will blow up. Count me in as your hashtag Juan friend. Facebook is easy, Freddie. I know. You have to invite.
Yeah, we'll figure it out one day.
Yeah,
although, I kind of like being on Haps. I don't mind it.
Haps seems to be slowly getting better and better. But,
yeah.
I just like the fact that we can throw it out onto Facebook and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So it does make it easier for me to do all the editing and all the bullshit that I have to do. So.
Yeah, well, we were originally going to do it on directly to Anchor, but we weren't able to have other people in.
Yeah.
And which was kind of a pain in the ass. And we constantly talked over each other.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can have other people on Anchor, but that was the biggest problem was you never knew when to shut up, so we just talked over each other.
Yeah. Well, on here, like, I can see when you're getting anxious.
It's like I could do a podcast with Kevin if I wanted somebody to talk over me for 2 hours.
Yeah, but I think we've gotten better at the fact that we don't talk over each other now.
No, we've gotten. I think it's gotten much better. I mean, 13 episodes in.
Yeah, it's all growing pains. That first episode, we were all over the place.
We're still all over the place.
Yeah, but we were all over the place technically.
Oh yeah.
Now we're just all over the place conversationally.
The first couple were technically speaking were horrendous.
Shit shows.
Yeah. So now they're.
But
they're
we've
together.
reached the 2-hour mark now.
Oh, I'm gonna go die.
That's why my kid keeps coming up going, "Are you done?"
This is as sad as it sounds. Just sitting here talking for 2 has literally fucking drained me.
Right.
And it's because it's fucking cold or whatever I have. Probably COVID. But
yeah.
What the hell?
Well, oddly enough, today is the one day that I've done the podcast that there's no air been coming in through my balcony door. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting here sweating my ass off.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we've gotten to the 2-hour mark, and I'm like, thank God, I'm sweating balls here.
I know. I'm not gonna lie. I've been looking at the clock the last 45 minutes.
Yeah. Because I'm like, I just want to wipe my face.
Yeah. I'm trying to get you a little raggy thing here. Little
I have one, but I don't know where the hell it is.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do an exit to this, and you can pass out. And I can go stuff some groceries down my neck.
Yeah, Saturday or Sunday when we record again, I'll be feeling better. Won't feel like
fingers crossed
knocking on death's door.
Or he's knocking on yours. If you see the Grim Reaper walking past your window, just wave like, "How you doing? See you tomorrow."
I live on the second floor. If anybody walks past my fucking window,
well, maybe he's got stilts. You never know. He's got a ladder.
Be like a scene in Lost Boys where Michael is outside of his brother's window.
He's floating. What are you, the flying nun? I love that movie. That I never put 2 and 2 together, but apparently it's loosely based on Peter Pan.
Interesting. I have to Google that.
I saw it the other day. That's why it's called The Lost Boys.
Yeah,
Peter Pan's gang.
Yeah, now I may have to watch the Lost Boys movie. Maybe
I got it on DVD. I'm gonna rock that out tonight.
Yeah, maybe I'll put that on to die too tonight. Mark,
I love
you,
those
Bubba.
Corey movies. Yes, thank you, Mark. I love those. I love the Corys, man. They were awesome.
Yeah.
Except they did a couple of them towards the end that you're like, really?
Yeah, it's okay.
But I love Goonies and all that shit.
The Corys were national treasures that got there.
My favorite was License to Drive. Yeah, no shit.
Was that the one with Christian Slater?
No, License to Drive was the blonde Corey got his driver's license, and his grandfather left his Cadillac there, and he sneaks the Cadillac out to go out with Heather Graham.
Yeah, I thought they did a movie with Christian Slater.
They probably did.
Christian Slater was like a detective, and the dead Corey seen a murder or something like that, and there was like skateboards.
I know the Corey that died did a movie that him and his dad were bank robbers.
Mm-hmm.
That one's an excellent movie. I can't remember what it's called. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. IMDb.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have to.
IMDb that shit.
There's your homework for Saturday's show.
that takes all of like 5 minutes. IMDb is one of the greatest websites ever when you get stuck on who that fucking actor is that you see on TV going, I know that motherfucker somewhere. You go on IMDb, put in the show you're watching, like, yep, I knew him.
What?
Internet Movie Database.
Who was the Corey that died? That was Corey Haim?
That was Corey Haim.
Yeah, because Feldman's still alive.
Feldman's constantly trying to get out this book about the pedophilia ring in Hollywood.
Dude, he did this horrible fucking movie. It's like a 20-minute long movie. It's called Slasher.
Yeah. Well, they did that. What is that? Dream a Little Dream movie. And that movie was it was so hard to watch because it Corey Feldman's sitting there constantly dressing like Michael fucking Jackson. And I'm like, what are you doing? You want to talk about pedophile ring? Jesus.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look because I could have swore that there was a movie that Christian Slater and Corey Haim did together.
Oh, just put in Google, put in Christian Slater, Corey Haim.
Yeah, I'll do it later. I ain't too worried about it.
Yeah, throw it up on Facebook or something. But yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I can hear my kids crying because it's time for bed or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about that time.
Go see what
I'm almost done.
So. All right. Well, this has been the Glick is on his deathbed episode.
Jeff's kids are crying.
Episode 13 of all episodes, because most people say that 13.
The only problem we didn't have was the internet going out.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like ass. But this is the end. We made it. Thank you guys for listening. Those of you guys that are listening live, appreciate y'all. The chatters.
Yeah.
Those who listen to this replay, appreciate y'all. And we're horrible about mentioning this, but if you made it all the way this far, then feel free to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all under Nonsensical Nonsense, and go follow us on
email
Spotify.
Email us at nonsensicalnonsense@gmail.
And then most importantly, the one place that you can find every episode is on Spotify and Nonsensical Nonsense. So go give it a listen. Let us know what you guys think. And we will see y'all Saturday or Sunday. I'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a graduation party Saturday, so
yeah, and make sure you're still alive.
Yeah, hopefully I survive.
Yeah.
This cold is.
So thank you, sir.
Thank you. And we are out of here.